What is going on YouTube? It's your boy Spanko, and today I'm excited because I'm going to be bringing you guys a deck that I've recently been playing at like a competitive level and I've had a lot of success with, and that is pure Tri-Brigade. Now, if you guys haven't checked out my Twitch and if you guys haven't seen my streams recently, which by the way, I think you definitely should, we're almost at Twitch affiliate. By the time you guys are seeing this one, might actually already be Twitch affiliate. But on my stream, I've announced that I'm working on a challenge where pretty much I try to climb the Canadian ranked ladder and try to get to rank 1. It's going to be called Road to Rank 1, and hopefully by the time you guys are seeing this, maybe in the next video or the next couple videos, I'm gonna have that first episode out. But I don't want that to take away from today's video. In today's video, we're showing off, I think, one of the best decks in the format, if not the best deck in the format. And the best part about it is this is perfectly my playstyle. If you guys love mid-range decks that can slow down the gameplay, can OTK, can make boards where you can grind decks out, where you can just push for damage, whatever it is, mid-range decks, this is the deck for you. I've had a lot of success with this. I have so much fun playing it. If you guys do enjoy these videos though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Yu-Gi-Oh content. Alright, I don't want this intro to be way too long, so I'm going to end it off there, and now onto the video. Okay, so to get off into the main deck, we are playing pretty standard ratios, I would say. So it's triple Fractal, triple Kit, triple Nerval, as well as double Keras. I don't think this would change for any reason in any build. I know some people like to play triple Keras. I actually don't like triple Keras. I think 2 is just perfectly fine. You switch it off the Nerval a lot of the time. So I think these ratios are perfect. I wouldn't change these ratios up at all. It's the next cards that I'm about to show you guys where the ratios are a little bit different than I guess some builds. And I actually saw a couple people who were very successful with this deck play ratios similar to this, and that's why I kind of adopted it, and I was like, man, this is actually very good. And that's only double Rescue Cat. So people might actually be like, hey, why aren't you playing 3 Rescue Cat? Because it's one of your best starters, especially if you just normal summon the Rescue Cat. If your opponent doesn't have anything to stop it, then you kind of go off. The reason I don't like to play 3 is 1, obviously it's kind of a brick if you draw multiple, but 2, the problem with it is because you're only playing 2 Keras and your only real targets are Keras and Kit, then you're kind of stuck in a situation where after your first Rescue Cat, there's a lot of ways where you're already gonna go through both your Keras. So as soon as you resolve Rescue Cat once, any other Rescue Cat in your deck is kind of dead. So that's why I only decided to play it at 2, and I've seen a couple people change their ratios from 3 to 2. And the reason I know people used to play 3 is because with Desires, you don't want to banish your cats. But honestly, you don't need cats in this deck to go off. Cat is just one of those things where a lot of the time, funny enough, if you open the next card I'm about to show you, which is Gamma, and we're going to go into our hand traps in just a second, but before I get into the rest of the hand traps, I just want to talk about Gamma. Gamma is just so strong in this deck because if I do open Cat and I have a Gamma in hand, I'll always just Cat just so someone can use a hand trap, waste a hand trap so that I can Gamma them. Same thing with Fractal. If I open a Fractal plus a Cat or like a Tanky or something like that, you always want to use these effects before anything else. Because this way, if you have a Gamma in your hand, you're going to bait out a hand trap, you're going to try to bait out some kind of effect negation, and then you can Gamma and then stop that, and then now you have a free Omega on your side of the field to start your turn. So that's why Gamma in this deck is just so important. And again, just 2 cats because you're only going to resolve it most likely once. Like after the first time, you're probably going to be searching another Keras with your Nerval anyways to be special summoning this for an extender. And Keras is really your only extender in this deck. So if you're going to be summoning one off Cat and then searching one off Nerval, then I mean, what other cats are kind of going to be live in your deck, right? So 2 is perfect. I think Gamma is perfect in this deck. Gamma is one of the best hand traps in the game in my opinion. The problem is it conflicts with a lot of decks because a lot of decks put monsters on the board. The nice thing with this deck is because Fractal is from hand, Rescue Cat is from the field, but it tributes itself so it gets itself off the field. So Gamma is really good in this deck. And for the rest of the hand trap lineup, I play triple Ash Blossom. I play a lot of hand traps actually. So we're playing triple Ash, triple Gamma like I said, double Bell, double DD Crow, and then triple Imperm. Okay, so the reason I try to play these ratios, and I'll move these up here for you guys so you can see everything. The reason I like to play these ratios is actually for a lot of reasons. 1, I like double DD Crow a lot because a lot of the time, if you kind of brick, I guess you could call it, but if you brick and you don't have another Tri-Brigade monster to pitch off Keras for a special summon, you can always pitch a DD Crow. DD Crow is also generically just kind of good this format, to be honest with you. So DD Crow is really good. Bell is also really good because against the mirror match, obviously you're going to still be stopping Revolt. Bell also hits a lot of the cards in the meta now. The only thing this is not good against, like the Bell, is kind of like the Dragon Link matchup. And Dragon Link, in my opinion, from what I've noticed in all my experience, this is kind of like the deck that loses to Dragon Link. Dragon Link is only really relevant because it has a really good matchup against Tri-Brigade specifically. But just generically, this deck is just, I think it's, I mean, we all know it's kind of probably the best deck or one of the best decks in the game right now, and that's for a reason, especially because you can play all these hand traps, and your engine is so small that you can just play so much support with this deck that really any one card gets you to your combo, and then the rest of it is just filler, right? Which is kind of nice. But yeah, I do play a big hand trap lineup. Of course, I want to beat everything in the meta. Imperm, I think, is one of the best cards in the meta right now. Ash is very generic. Gamma just works so well with this deck. And then these two, honestly, you can change them up if you want. I've actually seen some people not play Bell at all. Some people like to play Nibiru in the main deck. I personally don't like to play Nibiru in the main deck, but you can swap these for Nibirus if you wanted to. Just different options for you guys, and I just wanted to let you know what my hand trap lineup is looking like and what I've seen a lot of success with. Moving on to the spells and I guess the traps. We don't play a lot of spells, so we're just going to go do the spells and the traps together. And that is triple fire formation Tenki. Of course, you're going to search your Fractal. Fractal is your only target, and I've actually seen a lot of people cut Tenki to 2, especially in the pure builds. In the Zoo builds, obviously you want to play triple Tenki because you still consider your Zoo monsters. But in the pure builds, I've seen people cut this to 2. I actually tried it and I didn't like it, and the only reason I say that is because sometimes, and again with the Gamma, this all comes back to Gamma kind of thing, is sometimes if I open the Tenki, even if I have a Fractal in hand, I'll still activate the Tenki, try to get a Fractal out of my deck, and try to bait out in the gate. If they let this go through, it's fine, because the second Fractal can be like a care-ass fodder, right? So regardless, I do like playing triple Tenki. I thought at first, I'm like, okay, Tenki plus Fractal is not that good, but low-key it does bait out a lot of things, especially with the Gamma in the deck. I am playing double Pot of Desires. Desires is really, really good. I don't like this card too much, but the thing is, like, I've never been a fan of Desires, alright? But it's good in this deck specifically because it does help you get that extra draw power. The nice thing about Desires as well is it is one of those things that you don't really want to shotgun and activate right away. Like, if you play this correctly, the card is so powerful. And what I mean by that is, like, okay, so let's say you have a Fractal in hand. Let's say you have, like, your starters in your hand. You can do all your plays, and then like later on Desires, now you're not so worried about banishing all your combo pieces or your Tri-Brigade monsters because you've gone through everything. And then what Desires helps you to do later is it can help you draw your hand traps, right? Let's say you didn't draw any hand traps going first, then you do all your Tri-Brigade combos, all that kind of stuff. Then you go Desires before you pass, let's say, and then you try to draw into like a hand trap or two, right? Because now all your combo pieces are either in your graveyard or they're banished, aka they're live for Revolt, and then you can just try to get more cards in your hand with Desires. So that's why I like Desires. I'm gonna be honest, Prosperity would probably be pretty good here as well, but yeah, I just don't have the Prosperity, so we're playing Desires. But yeah, so one Call by the Grave, of course. I mean, I guess this is just kind of standard. You don't want to lose the hand traps. Then for the traps, we are playing triple Revolt. I like to play triple, so a lot of people cut it down to 2, okay? And the reason, I actually understand why a lot of people cut it down to 2, because you can search it off the Bear Brum. However, I actually like drawing this card, because if I draw this card, I'm not forced to go into a Bear Brum play where it's more susceptible to hand traps, more susceptible to things happening. And so I would rather draw the Revolt, because now I can make my first turn combo with like Apollo plus Revolt with less cards, and I have to use less things. And then therefore in the turns 2 and turns 3, I can actually use the Bear Brum later to search like a second Revolt, right? And then continue my plays there. And that's what helps to give me a grind game a lot of the time. So I do like to play triple Revolt. I really do want to draw this. I mean, of course, if you don't, you have Bear Brum to search, but I really do want to draw this card. It helps a lot. And then for the last traps we're playing is triple Solemn Strike. I think one of the best trap cards in the game right now. Yo, let me say this. Solemn Strike and Revolt won me so many games together. If you guys have these cards together in tandem, like, it's so good, because a lot of the time your opponent is going to be very focused on stopping the Revolt. If you have the Strike, you just auto win. There was actually one time where I had Strike Revolt set and my opponent went first, so I was going second, right? And Strike is really, really good going second as well. So I think what happened was my opponent made a Dragoon, and I can't remember what the other card he had on the board is, but he had Dragoon and something else on the board, and I had Revolt, Strike, and I had an Almirage, right? What ends up happening is I set up my graveyard, and then once my graveyard was set, I just set these 2 pass. And so it looks kind of meek, because now he has a Dragoon. I go Revolt, and he was like, all right, well, I mean, if the other trap card's an Imperm, it doesn't matter, because you can't Imperm me anyways. So he goes Dragoon to negate, and then I was like, all right, Strike. And then now your Revolt is 100% going to resolve, your Solemn Strike is going to negate effects, and it becomes so great because now your Revolt can summon something like an Omen, your Omen can banish the Dragoon, and then boom, boom, boom. So these cards together are so good. And then for the last card in the main deck, we are playing 1 Imperial Order. Obviously, we're not playing that many spell cards, so Imperial Order doesn't hurt you, but it does hurt a lot of decks. Like, if you flip this against so many decks, they kind of just like, I don't know, they have a really hard time playing, to be honest with you, more than anything. Like, I flipped this against so many people. Drytron matchup, it's insanely good against the Drytron matchup. It's really, really good against, obviously, the Striker matchup. It's really good, actually, in the Mirror match as well, especially if you're going first, low-key. Now, you might not think it's actually great against the Mirror match, but it actually really is, because when you flip it, if they can't get to their Tenki, let's say they open no Tri-Brigade monsters, but they have a Tenki, they can't Tenki you automatically. If they have their Desires and or Prosperities, they can't do that. So low-key, it's actually really good against a lot of matchups, so flipping this is just insanely strong. But that's it for the main deck. It is a 40-card main deck. So to start off with the extra deck, oh my god, I just dropped my entire, what is this? Are these Spanko sleeves? Yes, they are. If you guys want to get your hands on Spanko sleeves, my own custom sleeves, or you guys want to get your own custom sleeves, go check out yourplaymat.com. A link will be in the description where you guys can get 10% off if you use my code spankoygo10yp. A link will be there and the code will be in the description as well, so you guys can check it out. And then you guys can actually get your own Spanko sleeves, or you guys can customize your own sleeves as well, and or playmats. Yeah, so I'm super excited. I think these sleeves are top quality, and that's why I actually have them double sleeved, because I do not want anything to happen to them. I'll pull this one out real quick. I'm just gonna do a quick review here because I think these sleeves are amazing. As you guys can see, the quality looks really good. It makes the hollow of the card super nice. It's really nice because it has like that glossy feel at the front, but the back doesn't have a glossy feel. So now the cards aren't slipping everywhere. Unlike getting new sleeves where the cards are just flying everywhere. It's kind of nice because this kind of feels like a really high quality back end, but also a glossy sleeve, and it's gonna make all your cards shine that much more. So again, if you guys want to get your own Spanko YGO sleeves or your own custom playmats and or your own custom sleeves, yourplaymat.com, a link will be in the description. Use my code for 10% off. It helps support the channel. And yeah, that's kind of it for the plug. Now we got to go back to the extra deck. Okay, so now that we're actually into the extra deck, we are playing double Omen. Omen is so good for you. I mean, I'm sure if you guys play this deck, you know how good this card is. One, it banishes a card non-targeting when it's summoned, which is insane. This is probably what you're going to be summoning off Revolt most of the time. The nice thing about this card, though, is when it's sent to the graveyard, what ends up happening is you can search a Beast Warrior, a Winged Beast, or a just a Beast. Now, a lot of the time, you know what's funny is a lot of the time I've actually used this to search DD Crow, and sometimes it just punishes your opponent so much. Against my striker opponent, actually, he used Widow Anchor to take this, and so he took it, he used it to link off, and he had a Ray in the graveyard. So I actually ended up using this to search a DD Crow. DD Crow is Ray, and then once I did that, I could just go off. I got rid of his monster. I think he had a Shizuku on the board. I got rid of the Shizuku. There's just so many opportunities for this card to be insane. Obviously, you can search another Tri-Brigade monster to continue your combos for next turn. So this card is just so good in so many ways, and 3k attack. This helps you OTK so well. Then you're playing double Ferrigit, one Bearbrum, and one Rugal. I think these ratios are kind of standard. Sometimes I do want to play a second Bearbrum, but I think one is just perfectly fine. Rugal is very important because it's a good link 3 to go into, and it helps you go into Access Code as well. So I think these are standard ratios. I wouldn't change any of these. Then we're playing one Apollo. Apollo's your turn 1 play as well as one Access Code. Access Code helps you OTK. Actually, a lot of the time, funny enough, I've made Access Code just to bait out something, you know, because if you make Access Code and you're just trying to bait out the back row or like pop stuff or resolve stuff, that's fine, because if your graveyard's loaded up anyways, if you have a Keras, sometimes actually I've done this before where I've made an Access Code, force my opponent to get rid of cards in their hand. Like obviously they can't respond to the activation, but after the activation to gain the attack, they can like Veiler it, or they can use a trap card, whatever. Once they use this, or if they have a strike, actually they'll have to strike the summon, then I can go Keras, summon my Omen, and then just go off from there. So Access Code is really good, obviously, to help you OTK, but it's also really good to just bait stuff out of your opponent. And then we are playing one double Dragon Lords. Funny enough, I don't go into this too often. The only time I really go into this the most is when I go up against a Sky Striker matchup, because Apollo is not really good at all against a Striker matchup. So yeah, double Dragon Lords is pretty good against a Striker matchup. Funny enough, I think this card is really good, especially if you open something like a Tenki, because you can just send the extra Tenkis on the board to the graveyard, and you can keep him on the field at all times. So he's pretty good in a lot of ways, especially if you want to rebuild a board turns like 3, turns 4, and you just want to play the grind game. He becomes really good. One of the Doom Eagle, this card's insane against Striker, insane against so many decks, and I just like the DD Crow effect is really good. One Almirage, of course, for your kit, for your nerve wall, gets them in the graveyard, gets their effects to go off, so obviously you're playing this. And then, because we're not playing the Zoo engine, okay, so I'm playing a couple cards that people might find funny, and that is a Firefighting Darumidal and a Gladiator Beast Dragasis, whatever the name is. Anyways, I don't go into these pretty much ever. The only time I ever go into these is to link climb. So sometimes I need an extra link 2 monster just to link climb into like an Omen, or link climb into the Access Code, and I don't have a 3 available, then I will make one of these 2. And the nice thing about one of these 2 is it's just banish fodder, honestly, more than anything for your Access Code. So if you use this to go into Access Code, or use a Darumidal to go into Access Code, like let's say you don't have these available for at the moment for whatever reason, I've actually gone into these 2. Or sometimes to go into Apollo, you go into these 2. But the nice thing about these is because it just gives you more attributes for your Access Code later. So that's why I'm only playing them. They actually do nothing else for me. That's literally the only reason I play them, just to link climb. So they're not really good actually at all. And if you're playing the Zoo variant, I wouldn't play these at all. I might cut one of these for another Bearbrum, to be honest, in the future. But I've just been playing these, and they've been working pretty well for me. And then we are playing one Lambda and one Omega, of course, because we're playing the Gamma package. It comes up so much, low-key. Like, these 2 come up so much. So, yeah, you definitely want to be playing these. But that's it for the extra deck. It's 15-card extra deck. It's been working well for me. Again, if you guys want to change anything, you can change these 2. I know it's kind of funny. But yeah, these two are pretty good actually as well. Actually, one time I made this because it was 2000 attack, and I'm like, yo, sometimes you need that extra beater, especially in a very like simplified game state. You can just make this to beat down your opponent. This card's okay as well. The nice thing is once per turn you can target a spell trap card on the field and destroy them on each side of the field. So if you have like an extra tanky and they have like a field spell that they need to go off, then you can use this to pop the tanky, pop a field spell, or if it's a floodgate, you pop the tanky, pop the floodgate. So there's niche opportunities to use it. Not really, but it's a thing. So yeah. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any suggestions, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you guys that I perfected the deck, but this is like so well. It's been playing so well for me, and I've been having so much competitive success with this. So I think this is a really good build of the deck. Again, the only thing I might change, like I mentioned in the video, was the Daruma doll and the Gladiator Beast guy. I actually didn't know what to put in for the last two cards, so I just threw those in there. So those might be changing, but I think the main deck is perfect. I think the ratios are really good, and I guess the deck can change as format changes, but as of right now I think this is one of the best decks in the format, and it's super fun to play. So if you guys enjoyed, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and with that, Spanko signing out. Peace.